Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the video. My name is Bradley, also known as the Swim Coach. Today we're going to be looking at that mystery chip. It has been announced. We're going to get into that in a minute. Also looking at game week 16, the fixtures, the plays, the top transfers in, the top transfers out, reasons why. But also, if you want to join my league, the code is going to be up here, or again, there'll be linked down in the description. And while you're down there, why don't you hit that like button and that subscribe button? It'd be much appreciated. But for now, let's get into the video and let's talk about that mystery chip that has just been announced. And that mystery chip is the assistant managers. So we now have an assistant manager, one of the current managers that are in the Premier League. Now, if that manager does get the sack or leaves the club, okay, it will be replaced with the interim, or if someone does get that job in time, there we go. Okay. So here it all is. Now it's going to be off to the side here, but it is going to count as part of your budget. You do have to be very, very careful of what you do. Now that budget is going to be hard because especially if you've got someone like Haaland in your team, Saka, well, there's a big number of players you've got now in your team that you now got to fit this manager in. So let's have a little look. And the chip will be active from game week 24 in January, and can be played at any point throughout the rest of the season. Now, is that a good idea or not, having it game week 24? Well, the problem is the Premier League is 38 games. Now, half of that is 19. That means you're already losing 5 games for the half the season. So if, say, someone like, just for example, Chelsea, on the other hand, who have got very good fixtures in January, okay, or December into January, I think they are the ones who are going to be losing out. If you want to use their manager, it's a bit unfair, I think. But I don't make the rules. Now, it also does mean that it has for your club results for 3 game weeks in consecutive, okay, in a row. So you've got to think about it. And it's also going to be interesting when people start playing in their leagues, in their cup competitions, when to use it. And then they've still potentially got their triple captain or their bench boost still, like some people do have. And I think it's going to be very, very interesting how it's all done. Now, having an assistant manager, very interesting, but this is how the points work out. If your team wins, it's 6 points. A draw, 3. If you lose, 0 points. Every goal your team scores, you get 1 point per goal. Keep a clean sheet, 2. Very lovely. You've got to look at which teams you want and extra. Now, here's another thing. If you've got, say, for example, I'm just going to get it up on my thing here. If you have someone like, say, Southampton, and for example, Southampton are playing Spurs this weekend, who are 11th. If Southampton win, okay, you will get an additional points because your manager is playing a team 5 additional places above you. So it's a very interesting one. So would you have, at this current market, would you have any of the top 5 managers? I think that is going to be a bit of a hard one because you don't get these extra bonus points. So technically, you could be looking at these mid-table managers and hoping that they when they play a high flying team or higher ranked team and they beat them. So I'm going to say this now. Potentially someone like Leicester, with Van der Sar as their new manager, they're starting to get that ball rolling, and I think they could go up the table. So could you get with him potentially? But then you got to look at what fixtures help you out. So yeah, so it's a very, very interesting complex of how it's all done. Now there is a video here, but I would prefer you guys out there to go and have a look at the video, because I do not want to get a copyright to infringe on this video. So if you do want to have a watch of this video, it'd be much appreciated. You go and have a look, and you can help yourselves out a little bit more. Now, so it is going to be hard to think about your your manager, and also that budget, because now you're not budgeting for 15 players, you're budgeting for 16. Now, the value of these managers, excuse me, are anything between 0.5 and 1.5 million. So it's going to be a tricky one of how it's all done. And as you can see here, for example, if you pick Eddie Howe, who is sitting in 12th right now with Newcastle, and they play 7th place Brighton, who are they're only 4 points ahead at the moment, only 4 points ahead. But if you win, you will get in that bonus points tally potentially. So you can get into this phase here. And I think some managers out there, for you guys, shall I say, I think some of you may go a bit early, or you may hold on to it until you think, well, actually, I want to try and do it. Now, here's the other thing. Whilst it may lead to weights to up players' chips early, taking advantage of the league table and assistant manager chip could also be affected in a double game week. Now, at the present moment, there's only 2 teams that have got a double game week. That is Liverpool and Everton, and they play each other, of course, because the Merseyside derby did get cancelled. But here it is. Worth bearing in mind, if that assistant manager chip falls within the 3-player per club quota, if you have already Salah and you bring in Slop, you would only have room to have 1 more Liverpool assist. So you can only have 1 more Liverpool player for 3 game weeks, which I think is going to be a bit of a harsh, and it is also within your budget. Now, the other thing they don't talk about is, can you use your chip and your triple captain? So I think that could be a very, very interesting scenario, shall we say. And if we go back to fantasy and then we have a look at the help part on it. Now, you can't use, the manager cannot be a captain, which is fair enough, okay? But here's another thing. Additionally, your manager does not count as a transfer. However, removing and replacing your manager after the intended was selected, it will cost you a transfer. So you've got to be very careful. So if they're suspended or banned, doesn't count. Yellow cards don't count. So that's very good. Yeah, and you're adjusted for but there's nothing in here that says about. So here's the only other thing. After playing your free chip at the next deadline, you your bank balance and squad reset. So you potentially can use them at the same time. What happens with treble captain? Here we go. Treble captain bonus will pass. Okay, so that's it. That's it. It doesn't actually talk about if you do triple captain with your when that's activated. I think a lot of managers are going to be very careful of how they pick their manager and when to use it, and could they use their triple captain? Oof, it's going to be a hard one. But now let's have a look at the stats for the game week 15, the top transfers in and out, and we'll have a little chat about why these players are in for the top transfers in. Now, Isak, bit of a coming into a form, playing Leicester, but I think with Leicester, their manager, the new manager, is doing really well. Yes, sometimes they may struggle a bit, but I think he's getting them going. Saliba, well, that's an obvious one. It's a replacement for Gabriel. Enzo and Palmer. Now, I'm going to showcase this. And this is because of all this green. Okay, and now I said game week 24. Well, game week 24 doesn't start until February. Now, but look at Chelsea's run here. All the way up to game week 22, where they've got all greens. So, say, for example, if you had your manager from game week 19, well, sorry, game week 20, shall I say, because game week 19 is when they've played everyone. You'll have Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves. That could be a good chance to have your assistant manager. But then there's not much later on. So you could probably use it Brentford, Ipswich, Fulham, or even Ipswich, Fulham, Everton. So that could be a struggle there. Let's have a look at Arsenal's fixtures after game week 24. Well, there's potential here of Fulham, Everton, Brentford, Ipswich, Palace, Bournemouth. It's a bit of a tricky one. But for me personally, I would probably want... I'll probably want it like here. These 3 game weeks, purely because you want your Ipswich, maybe Ipswich there. It's a tricky one. Or even Leicester, West Ham, Forest. Now, there's another bit. Liverpool. When can you actually use it? Well, we don't know about this game week. Some people are thinking it's probably going to be like here. Now, if that's the case, and it's like round here, or even if it's game week 28, potentially you could have Southampton and Everton in the double game week, Villa, and then Everton again. Or if they have it round here, I tell you now, it's going to be very interesting in what you do. And I think for me personally, I may use my triple captain around that double week. So do I want to use? I don't know. Now, someone like Chris Wood, well, with Forest, it's only near the very end. And do you want to leave it to the very end? And they've still got some hard fixtures. So I think that's a tricky one for you guys. Now, Leicester again, they've got good running at the end. you could potentially use it near the end. So it's tricky. Now, the reason why we're going for Chelsea here now is, as I said, look at their lovely little run coming up. And I think that's when a good time to have some Chelsea players in. And I think that's why a lot of people are going for Enzo, Palmer, and Jackson in this top list in here. Someone like Vardy, new leaf of life, getting on ball rolling a little bit. So very interesting. I think with the new manager, he's doing really well. Whereas in Burma, I think people after the Chelsea game, well, look at that. Over Christmas, they've got very hard games into the new year. So look at those 4 games here. Arsenal, yeah, at home. Southampton away. Okay. Man City and Liverpool back-to-back home games. Ooh. That's going to be a tough one, sorry to say. And actually, if I just saw that, if you look at, you got Tuesday night and then the midweek and then the weekend game. So I think that's going to be a tough games. Tough 4 days as it stands at the moment. And that's going to be a tricky one there, guys. So yeah, here Neto's another good one, cheap value. Points wise, not doing that well. Where someone like Young who's doing better. Even someone like Johnson who's fought 71 points. Awobi, but again, someone like Fulham have got some hard games coming, but then they've got a good run again, but then near the end they've got some tricky games. So I think that's where you guys out there got to plan a lot. Now, top transfers out. But Watkins, he came off, I believe, in the Champions League game. Haaland, Gabriel, but Gabriel has been training. Lewis, well, he's suspended until the 21st. So he misses the United game, but will be back for the Villa game, potentially. So a lot of City players getting transferred out, and also City playing United as well this weekend. Bruno Fernandes, another one that's out. A few Manchester United players that are dropping out. Kevin De Bruyne as well, and Nana. So a lot of City and United players dropping out. And I think that's why you see a lot of Arsenal and Liverpool players picking their spots up. And I think that's where it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, fixtures for this game week. Here we go. So we have Arsenal Everton at 3 o'clock kickoff, Liverpool Fulham 3 o'clock, Newcastle Leicester 3 o'clock, Wolves Ipswich again 3 o'clock kickoff, Nottingham Forest Villa 5:30 kickoff. Very lovely games. Now, Sunday fixtures are very weird, to be honest. We have Brighton against Palace. They call this a derby because it's a big rivalry, okay? It's one motorway that stretches all the way down, and they do hate each other's guts, to be honest. Another derby game we've got is City and United. That's at 4:30. Now we've got 2 games at 7 o'clock in the evening. I've not had this for a long time. A 7 o'clock kickoffs on a Sunday. Chelsea Brentford and Southampton Spurs. Now, the Southampton Spurs game is going to be on TV here in the UK. So it's a bit surprising. But hey. TNT normally get theirs lunchtime kickoffs, but because Spurs played in the Europa League or Europa League Conference, that's why they had to move that from the lunchtime kickoff to this kickoff time on the Sunday. And then you got Bournemouth versus West Ham in the Monday night fixture. So some very interesting fixtures coming up. And yeah. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I will be doing a live stream tomorrow morning on Saturday at 12 noon because the deadline time is at 1:30 on Saturday, ready for those 3 o'clock kickoffs. So for now, ladies and gentlemen, if you still want to join my league, the code is going to be up here. And again, the link's going to be down there with all my other socials. So have a lovely time. Stay safe. Good luck this weekend. I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye from now.